right, welcome everyone. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. You're all very welcome to this session. My name is Mathias Verheijden. I am the software product manager at i3 Connect, and together with my colleague Alex Nan, our market manager corporate, we are together today hosting this webinar for you. Now, before we get started, there are actually some requests that we have for you. If at any point during the session you have any questions on the content we are presenting, either please save them to the end or write them down in the meeting chat. We have someone going over those, and of course, at the end of the session, we will try to answer all of the questions that you might have. So, without further ado, let's dive straight into the session. All right. So in today's webinar, we are going to talk about the new product bundle that we have at i3 Connect, which is called the Aspen for Microsoft Teams Rooms bundle. It is the world's first hybrid Teams Rooms meeting solution with a perfect native integration between Microsoft Teams Rooms and i3 Connect Studio. But before we dive into that solution, we would like to provide you with some context first. Now, I assume all of you have already worked with a Microsoft Teams solution in the past. For example, you can see the Teams bar that we have behind me, or one of the other Microsoft Teams Room certified solutions. And there are some challenges and obstacles, apart from, of course, all of the great features that it has to offer. To start, I think we have all been there. We needed to brainstorm something during the session. We started the whiteboard, and it takes quite a while for us to get started. Up to 10 seconds even sometimes. And then once we had writing, there's some delay on the whiteboard, so it's not just the right and the greatest writing experience that we are looking for with the touchscreens that we have in many rooms already. For screen sharing, we kind of have the same challenge. When you're already in the call, screen sharing in Microsoft Teams works great. You just press share, you select the screen you would like to share in the meeting, and everything works by itself. But if you're not in the session, well, then you have to first join the call, and then it echoes, and you need to mute yourself. And if you're not even invited in the call, but just physically in the room, then sharing becomes quite difficult. With the installation as well, in a new room where we can hide away all the cables, that works great. But in existing rooms, it's quite of a challenge to have a neat installation of a Microsoft Teams Room system. And therefore, working with a touch display such as the one behind me is actually a great solution, because you can have all the great features from Microsoft Teams Rooms right on the touch panel. And there's no more need to have a difficult cable setup within the room. Everything is neatly packed against the wall. But then the question is also, when you are using Microsoft Teams Rooms only, there's a lot of potential that you leave out. What about Studio? What about the great software that we have running on our i3 Connect panels? It's a place where we have a great whiteboarding solution, a great screen sharing solution, remote management, and a completely customized home screen to fit all of the different needs from many of the end users that you are working with every day. And there's actually a lot of things that Studio has to offer, apart from just the things that I just mentioned. And it would be a shame to leave that all off the table by only solely working within the Teams Rooms environment. So then we started wondering, well, what if we just use a hybrid approach? What if next to Teams Rooms, we also use Studio in parallel or at the same time? And of course that works, but it also comes with some challenges. The first of which is that if you are working in Studio, the remote participants in the call usually can't really see what you're doing. Everything you're writing on the whiteboard is a mystery to them, and therefore they're not really engaged and not really involved in the session. Especially not as much as the people in the room are. But secondly, for those people in the room, when we are working within Studio, it's not really possible to see the faces from those same remote participants. And therefore you can't gauge their reactions. And generally it's just much nicer to talk to a face instead of to a blank canvas. And these are exactly the two things that we have addressed with this new integration between Microsoft Teams Rooms and i3 Connect Studio. The first solution that we worked on is how can we get all of the great content from Studio straight into a Microsoft Teams meeting fully automatically without needing any manual interference. Well, that's exactly what we did. Now you can just open the whiteboard, or use AllSync, or use any other application within Studio, and a clean feed from that application will be sent straight into the Microsoft Teams call. No manual actions needed there. At the same time, for the second challenge that I talked about, we are also introducing a picture-in-picture mode that will automatically open when you switch from the Teams Rooms environment into Studio. This way, it feels like a much more integrated solution. You are working within Studio while still having access to the full Microsoft Teams Rooms interface. And of course, we do that in a very flexible way. You can drag it around, scale it, and put it anywhere on the canvas where you need in order to work with the full potential of our Studio applications. And when you're done, simply switch back to the MTR and we were just back in a regular conversation. Now, from a few slides, that of course all sounds nice, but we also of course prepared a live demo for you. Now in this demo, we will show you the full capabilities of the new MTR bundle with Aspen 4 and how it is integrated between Teams Rooms and Microsoft Studio. Let's take a look together. Hi, and welcome to the sneak preview of the integration between Microsoft Teams Rooms and i2 Connect Studio on the new Aspen 4 MTR bundle. Now, when we work side by side in Studio and in Teams Rooms, there are usually two problems that we face. First of all, when we work in Studio, on the whiteboard for example, the remote participants can't really see what's happening on the panel, and therefore they're not really actively involved in the session. And secondly, for the people in the room, they can't really see the faces of the remote participants, so they can't gauge their reactions, and it's generally just nicer to talk to a face. And these are exactly the two things that we have addressed with this new integration that I would like to show you today. Now here behind me, we have the new Aspen 4 MTR bundle, and as you can see, we already prepared a nice tile on the home screen to take us straight into the Teams Rooms environment. Now let's set up a call together. I'll just give myself a quick call here. And also, of course, let's pick up the call from the other end. So now that we picked up the call, you might recognize the guy behind me, sort of. And in these types of situations, we usually just have a conversation with each other. But in Teams calls, it can also happen that we would like to do a brainstorm, for example, or that we would like to share something into the call. And this is exactly where this new integration comes into place. So let's start at the whiteboard, for example, and see how this works with this new integration. We can go to the side menu here and press on the whiteboard tile to, of course, open that application. And there's a few things that you will see happening. First of all, of course, we opened the whiteboard application. But you will also see that the whiteboard application is now shared into the remote Teams call. So the remote participants can see everything that's happening on the panel. Finally, what you also saw is that it automatically opened a picture-in-picture view of the Microsoft Teams interface. We will come back to that later. Here on the whiteboard, we can use the application like we would do otherwise. So we can draw a nice smiley face, for example, here. And what you will see is that the remote participants can see what's happening in real time. Now, they can't only see the canvas that we are working on, of course, they can see the entire application that we are working in. So not only can we make drawings and discuss together what we want on the whiteboard, but we can also just press share, generate a QR code, and now all remote participants can scan this QR code to receive the whiteboard on their personal device. And this means they are not only much more actively participating within the session, but also after the session have a much easier way to obtain the files that we have worked on, and which they can then share over email, for example, or some other way. When we're done taking notes, it's very easy to switch back to the MTR. So we can go to the side menu and we simply switch to the MTR source. And what you see is that it will also automatically stop sharing into the Teams call. And now we're just back in general conversation again. Now, this feature doesn't only work with the whiteboard. It actually works with all applications within the Studio environment. So it also works with AllSync, for example. Let's give that a quick demo. I have my phone here, my device. And the nice thing about sharing with AllSync, of course, is that you can share over native protocols like AirPlay, Google Cast, Miracast, or even with our USB-C dongle that you can use with your laptop, for example. Now let's give that a try. So on my phone here, as you can see, I am on the i2 Connect website. I can just simply scroll down, select casting, and then I can select the Aspen 4 here behind me. Now, as you saw, it instantly started sharing to the panel for all the people in the room, but it also passed it through to the remote participants. And now when I scroll to the website, I can go down a little bit. Maybe I would like to discover some of our products. And we want to go to the Aspen 4 page. Now, You have the same image on the phone, you have it on the big screen for the people in the room, and it is automatically also shared into the Microsoft Teams call. What's important to remember here is that this phone is actually not participating in the call. It is sharing directly from this device to the panel using AllSync, in this case over AirPlay. This makes it much easier to share something into a Teams meeting without needing to be in the call. So if there's, for example, someone in the room who was not invited in the call, they can still share into it in a very easy and accessible way. Again, just like before, you can just go to the side menu, switch back to the MTR, and you will see that the image stopped sharing in the remote session as well as on the panel here. Now, one other topic that we already saw a little bit of is, of course, the picture-in-picture mode, because now we saw how you can share a source from Studio automatically into the MTR, but we also want to see the faces from the people at home. So again, as before, let's quickly open the whiteboard together. Like this, it automatically starts sharing as it did before, but you see that the picture-in-picture mode is automatically open. Now, within this picture-in-picture, we see the Microsoft Teams Rooms interface, which we can, of course, drag around with the controls on the side. We can also resize it, make it very small, or make it very big, however we would like to use it. But you also notice that we have full touch control of the MTR. So, for example, we can switch to the other view that only shows participants instead of the feed that is being shared. And this way, we always have a face to look at when we discuss something and gauge their reactions while we are working on the whiteboard. Now, if we're done with that, or if we want a full screen application view, we can simply just click away the picture-in-picture. We are still sharing, as you can see. And then finally, as we have done before, we go back to the MTR screen. And now we're just back in general conversation. So that basically concludes the integration between Microsoft Teams Rooms and i2 Connect Studio on our new Aspen 4 MTR bundle. And let's summarize that a little bit. First of all, now we can fully benefit from all of the great features from Teams Rooms as well as Studio and get the best of both worlds, because both the people in the room and the remote participants are able to have a full view of what's going on the display. Not only can they see what is happening in Studio, but also the people in the room can see the faces and gauge the reactions from the remote participants. So that concludes the integration between Microsoft Teams Rooms and i2 Connect Studio on our Aspen 4 MTR bundle. See you in the next one.
All right, thank you, Mathias, for this great demonstration. And next part of this webinar, we will dive into all the details of the total solution. And the first part of the solution is, of course, the Aspen 4. Most of you know already the Aspen 4 that has been launched some months ago, but the Aspen 4 has some very important differentiators. And the first one is the QLED. The Aspen 4 is a QLED display, and this has a huge difference on the image quality of the display. So when you're reading some text, sorry, go one slide back, because of the much better colors, you would be able to read much better what is on the slides. But perhaps even more important is the way that the image is composed. So if you see faces in a video call, those will be as if the people would be in the same room as yourself. So this would be much more natural result during a video call. And then also thanks to the optical bonding, the viewing angle, depending where you are in the meeting room, if you are in a sharp angle looking at the display, you will see the same quality of the image as if you would be in front of the display. Next to that, the Aspen 4 has also local dimming. Local dimming is also a new feature in the IFP market. Local dimming means, for example, on a 86-inch, we have 286 zones. And all those zones can be turned off. While you are showing a black image. So that means that black is really black. And this gives you a much better visibility, because when you get a better contrast, again, it will be much more natural images that you will see. And also the details will be, because of this higher contrast, will be even better visible for the people in the room. Perhaps even more important is the power efficiency of the local dimming. So because, as I mentioned, black, that means it's off. So we turn off the backlight. And if the backlight is turned off, of course, there's no power consumption. What we did is in our whiteboard application, standard on the Aspen, when you open the whiteboard application, it will turn into black. So the background of the whiteboard will be black, so you get actually a blackboard. Yeah, and that's not the only thing. Also, in Studio, you can use the dark mode of Studio, so then you will get much more black into the or black images again to save power. Very nice to explain, but we can also prove this by some very important facts. So if you use the whiteboard or the white background in the whiteboard, an 86-inch, of course, depending on the brightness that you are on, can use up to 210 watts. If you move it into black, it can go even below 80 watts. So you see what a huge difference it makes when you turn from white to black. Because of the local dimming, the backlight will be turned off on all the black parts, and the power consumption will drop significantly. What else it's important to know about the Aspen? 3 sizes today. Very shortly, we will bring also the 55-inch. So that means that you can cover any meeting room size. So you can use 55-inch for super small rooms, and you can go up to 86-inch for the larger rooms. The best image quality in the market with the QLED. Great audio, of course. There is a very powerful USB-C to power the devices. Sustainable design. Not only the power consumption is super great, also the weight of the product. So the footprint of the whole Aspen is a leading product in the market. And of course, with a high-end chipset and super good processors on board. Also, Crestron and Extron certification, Crestron and QSys certification if your customer is requesting that integration. If we have a look at the details of the MTR solution, this is a high-end MTR solution with a lot of benefits for the end user to ensure a crystal clear meeting. First of all, 12 microphones on board to ensure that everybody's voice is picked up perfectly. You can go up to 50 square meters meeting rooms, and the voice will be picked up perfectly. Privacy shutter, so when the meeting is finished, the privacy shutter will close automatically to ensure that the camera can't see anything anymore. We have also a LED indicator on both sides, so in case that you're muted, for example, there will be a red light on both sides so that you have a visible indication that you're muted. 2 speakers to ensure that also the other participants are heard well by the people in the meeting room, and then a 100 megapixel camera that gives you a lot of interesting features. We'll come back on that one in a second, with what allows you to zoom in on people and keep a very short image. As mentioned, a super good audio, 2 times 15 watt speakers to cover the high tones, low tones, so to get the people or get the sound as if the people would be in the same room as you are. And then with a microphone that has a pickup range up to 8 meters. So also there, even the larger meeting rooms are covered with that distance. Also here, an important differentiator, the MDAP operating system. MDAP operating system is something that Microsoft has launched recently because they want to get rid of Android, not 100% get rid of Android, because Android has a lot of advantages for sure if we look at the pricing of the hardware components. So that's the reason why Android is still there at the base, but Microsoft has built a layer on top of Android, and that's the MDAP solution. And the MDAP solution is there for a few reasons. First of all, to ensure security. Microsoft wants to ensure the same security as they have on the Microsoft devices, on the MDAP devices. So the high-end security of Microsoft is ensured. Reliability. All the MDAP devices are approved by Microsoft. So that means the hardware, you can only use hardware approved or hardware that is approved by Microsoft on an MDAP solution. So it's not possible to use whatever processor. No, it has to be certified by Microsoft, and this ensures the reliability on long term and also with the necessary updates. And last but not least, also the remote management. So companies that are in the Microsoft ecosystem using Intune, for example, they can add this device as all the other devices of their Microsoft environment. That being said, if we go into the user in the meeting room, where can the user take advantage of? First of all, is the echo cancellations. We all know rooms where there is a lot of echo because of the glasses in the room, for example, that are not absorbing, but reflecting the sound. So all those sounds will be cancelled automatically by the MTR solution. Also, noise suppression. We all know meetings where somebody is typing all the time during a meeting, and some laptops they make a lot of noise when you type. All those noises will be suppressed by the MTR. Audio fans. So outside of the meeting room, sometimes it's not well isolated, so there can be a lot of noise coming from outside of the meeting room. Also, that noise will be suppressed. Then there are also some AI features that can be activated within the MTR. First of all is the automatic framing. So this means if there's only two people in the room, then the camera will focus or zoom in on those two people. If a third person is coming into the room, the camera will automatically zoom out so that the third person is also on the image. Smart gathering can be activated. This gives you opportunity to see the whole meeting room here in this image, and at the same time also to get a zoom of every people individually. Speaker tracking, that's pretty straightforward. The person that is speaking will be zoomed in. And then the intelligent focus, in that case, if you activate intelligent focus, then you will get all the persons separately zoomed in on your image. So as Mathias mentioned, we are talking here about a bundle. And there are three important components in this bundle. And the first component is the software. The software that you saw during the demo that allows you to use all the advantages of MTR in combination with i3 Connect Studio. If you want to use applications within the studio environment, you can still see the people on the other side. So if you want to use the whiteboarding application, you can do. If you want to use the wireless sharing application with other devices, or even with our AllSync USB-C dongle, that can work perfectly in the same environment, and everything is working automatically. You can take advantage of all the benefits of Aspen 4 with the best image quality today in the market of IFPs with the QLED solution. And of course, all the benefits of the high-end MTR solution with the AR features that I just mentioned. I already saw a question in the chat. Important to know is that this solution is exclusively in combination with the Aspen 4. In case you want to have a lot of flexibility in how you mount this MTR on the Aspen 4, we have an optional bracket that also will be available together with the other elements. So in a nutshell, this Aspen 4 MTR bundle can cover every meeting size because you have choice between the different Aspen sizes. You have the best-in-class picture quality with a very secure MDAP, Microsoft MDAP solution with all the AI features that I mentioned. And then perhaps the most important one is that you can take benefit of all the i3 Connect Studio features. You can use all those applications that you are used to use today within a Microsoft Teams environment. Important question, of course, when will this be available? So today is the official launch. You are the first one that are able to see all the details about our solution. And starting from begin of January 2026, the product will be in our inventory. So that means that pre-orders are already open, but availability, you will have to wait more or less 5 weeks from till today. And then a very important moment, of course, will be ISE Barcelona, where we will show the product to the whole world. So if you haven't been able to see the product in one of our showrooms yet before the ISE trade show, please welcome to see the product and all the benefits there together with your customers if you want. All right. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. We had a lot of details today, but no worries, the recordings will be shared afterwards. I don't know if there are questions in the chat that we still have to respond. Let me have a close look.
All been answered, Alex. So
okay.
If there's anyone else, thank you for all the great reactions, by the way, in the chat. That's very nice to see. Yeah, any other questions are, of course, welcome. Either in the chat or if someone dares to take the stage, that, of course, is also welcome. Yes, Jo Inge, go ahead. Or was it a wrong button press? We will never know.
We'll wait.
I think it was a wrong button press.
No problem. We'll wait a few more seconds if there are other questions. Of course, we stay available via all the other ways that you can get in touch with us. No worries if you would have questions afterwards. Pricing, yeah, of course, pricing will be shared by your dedicated salesperson. So they will provide you those details. You're welcome, Diego. Okay, I don't see any further questions at the moment. But again, if you have questions afterwards, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. On behalf of myself and my other team members, Matthias and Marco, I would like to thank you a lot being here. It was a pleasure to present our great new solution, our Aspen 4 MTR solution. And I hope to see you soon, even before ISE. And again, if you have any other information, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Thanks a lot, and see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you, everyone.